So this is Candour, the second in our series of CCC beers. This is playing on cacao. And we brewed it with the guys at Cycle Brewing, who I think we've got long thought of them probably some of the best stout makers in the world, bar none really. Pretty much everything they do now from a stout perspective is all barrel aged, so it took a bit of work to convince them to focus on this not being barrel aged, because that's a huge part of their I guess their style. Yeah, it was fantastic to work with him on putting together the recipe for this fantastic, amazing beer.
Speaking with Doug at Cycle Brewing was really interesting because he's tried this every way possible, and we went back and forth quite a bit about different ideas and what we can do, and he kept coming back to, you guys know your equipment better, I can advise you on how to do it, but you know how your equipment works well. So we took a lot of his knowledge and did things that we hadn't done before with it, which was really fun to do. Built up a good recipe. We built in some really good like middle kind of malts for the start, like Cara malts and some Cara Munich and stuff like that, and then touch of roast malts, and then we were building a base that was really going to let the cacao sit on it. So, yeah. And we talked about different ways to boil. We did a 16-hour boil for this one, right? Which was the first time we had boiled through the night, and that
you did that, didn't you?
Yeah, it's nice to learn the brewery at night, all the different noises that happen in the building. But it was great. We learned a lot about what our kettle can do and our equipment can do, and start off with probably the highest starting plate over stout that we had brewed to that date. Right.
Which was what, starting at
32?
32?
32.2,
okay.
I think.
Right.
Yeah, so started there and yeah, put our yeast in and let it go.
Yeah, I think one of the great things with working with Doug was the name Candour, I think it really applies to him. He's just a very matter-of-fact kind of guy, very straightforward with his approach. One of the discussions that, yeah, obviously in the UK brewing scene, that the ABV is super important. It drives an awful lot of things, mostly around the price aspect, doesn't it? Because of obviously the duty cost is tied to ABV, and it's a concept he couldn't really get his head around. Yeah, he's very much focused on building the recipe to what's that end goal that you're looking for from a flavour profile from the beer. Let's focus on that. I'm not interested in how far it ferments. I mean, obviously to an extent, all these things do play into it, but yeah, he really struggled to want to focus on an ABV point of view, so we kind of went with that in the end. But yeah, the name comes from, I think, or really ties into his approach to brewing.
So we used our really trusted supplier, Willie's Chocolate, for this, and he's got a really good cacao nib, which is the one over there, Darren.
Yep, this one here.
Well, yeah, and it's called Rio Caribe, and that's their brand. It's grown in that town in Venezuela, I think, but it comes from the 3 different cacao nib varieties, and this is the kind of cream of the crop one that it comes from, the one that's most sought after. Probably the least chocolate is made with it in the world, but the best chocolate is made with it in the world, is the way Willie kind of describes it to me. So yeah, it's really good, really Belgian dark chocolate, and we also used the most amount of that we've ever used in a beer, in this beer.
It's a theme developing here, isn't there?
Yeah, and we use that off Doug's kind of rough kind of guide of how he would go with the amount, and it's much bigger than what we do normally for beer like this, and we went with that, and I thought we'd get to saturation point, and we did 2 spins on the spin bot, and it just kept building and building. So yeah, it's really good.
You are my sunlight.
Boiled it for 16 hours. Done.
So normally for a stout like this, we would look to finish around 10 Plato, and we push that up closer to 20 for this. It's the kind of way I think some stouts are moving, especially stouts that go into barrels, which is what Cycle are really known for. So we wanted to push that, have a real thick finishing Plato, which is the body of the beer, the viscosity and the kind of slickness of the beer. So we pushed that with this beer. To do that, we had to start at a higher starting Plato, which is the reason for the 16-hour boil. And then I think the other thing that we really looked at with this is I wanted to change the approach on the spin bot for this, and we decided to actually centrifuge the beer before the spin bot, just to give a cleaner beer for the ingredients to spin on, especially the cacao, and I think it's worked really well.
I think, to tell everyone about what a 16-hour boil does to a beer, I think would be really interesting. It's I'm sure a lot of people don't understand what difference that's going to make. So
I think it concentrates the sugars, so you're getting less liquid, more concentrated sugars, but it also caramelizes. There's reactions that go on, the Maillard reaction and a few other reactions that go on that start to caramelize and develop flavors in the beer. The beer will darken, you'll get different kind of sweetness, caramel flavors mainly coming through. And one of the things that it also does is it makes some of the simple sugars less fermentable because they caramelize. So you're going to build body by doing this long boil. Being there at that time with no noises, like the background noises in the brewery I'm used to, but when it's all quiet you hear the other noises, and I think one of the things is the building cooling down at night, making some weird noises, and I started getting used to those, and then I heard a really loud noise and it freaked me out a little bit. But it was the guys coming to collect the bins at 4 a.m. So
I think it looks viscous, thick. It's a joy to look at, isn't it? Colour-wise, you were saying it's probably the lightest.
From recipe, it was the lightest, but it did darken, I think, through the boil. But it's the lightest of the three.
But it looks fantastic, doesn't it? You can swirl that, and it just sticks to the side of the glass, doesn't it?
Yeah. Carbonation is good. It seems to be holding a nice head as well for big beer, which is good to know.
Yeah. I mean, you stick your nose in, and I think I said earlier, it's like sticking your face in a bowl of melted Lindt d'Ors. It's just chocolate, isn't it? It's a little touch of the bitter chocolate in the nose, but mostly just full round sweet chocolate, I think.
I think this cacao has come through incredibly, like smelling it in the glass. Like just smelling it in your hand, smelling it in the glass, same thing.
Wow, that's thick. That is beautiful.
Yeah,
so rich, decadent, indulgent. I think coats the mouth. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and again, it's a whole play on balancing the roastiness. The cacao can bring some roastiness, so the higher finishing Plato leaves a sweeter beer, leaves some more body to balance that out. It's really smooth, I think, as well. There's roasty flavour at the back finish, but then you come in for another sip and you're going to get the big sweet chocolate again. So I think this is the sweetest, or at least the perceived sweetest of the three. Yeah. I think the cacao brings a real richness and decadence to the beer, as you said earlier, and I think it's it's just really full and rounded and really rich. And I think you want to go back for another one, but the sweetness is really
there, isn't it?
There, yeah.
It's there, and I think that's great in a beer like this. It's it does what it says on the tin. Absolutely, yes. If you're a fan of Caribbean chocolate cake, you're going to love this. Same cacao used in this as we use throughout all of the CCC that we do, caramel and chocolate cakes. So yeah, this is definitely the beer for you, but I'm pretty sure you're going to like all three of them.